Real Conversations in the QC is sponsored by Accentra Credit Union.
Welcome to Real Conversations. I'm Kayla Page. Thanks so much for joining us. The Juneteenth holiday is almost here, but it all started in 1865 when federal troops made their way to Galveston, Texas on June 19th to pass along a message to the remaining slaves in this country that they are now free. Word did not travel fast back then. This happened more than 2 years after then President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. That date, June 19th, turned into a yearly celebration soon after, marked by cookouts and community-focused entertainment. Juneteenth is considered the longest running African American holiday, but it wasn't until June 17, 2021, when then President Joe Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act, making it a federally recognized holiday in the United States. Now this month, we're looking ahead to the Juneteenth holiday itself and the celebrations taking place in the Quad Cities. The stage is set and ready to go. Jasmine Butler spoke with the leaders of Zeta Sigma chapter of Phi Beta Sigma in Davenport about the first inaugural Stomp the Stage dance competition.
Today I have Ed Dodson and William Bass, who are the presidents and vice presidents of Zeta Sigma chapter Phi Beta Sigma in Davenport. Whew, that is a mouthful. But I'm so happy to have you guys today. Thank you.
Thank you.
So on June 21st, we got an exciting event coming presented by the Quad City Sigmas. I'm super excited. The city's in for a huge treat. So tell us what will be happening on this stage here in the Lincoln Center in just a few weeks.
Tell them So here at the Lincoln Center, the Quad City Sigmas, we're going to put on the Stomp the Stage dance competition, which is going to encompass multiple dance teams from the local community that's going to come here, that's going to show their talents. And we just thought that it would be a great opportunity for us to really build a partnership with the folks here at the Lincoln Center because we know that their mission is a part of, being in the community, highlighting the talents of the community. And so we wanted to partner with them in order to make sure that we're doing our part too. And so we're going to bring the dance groups. We're going to bring some of Greek organizations. We even have some folks that are going to come out that's going to participate just in an exhibition status just because they want to come out and support what's going on here in the Lincoln Center and be a part of the overall competition. So we're looking forward to having them compete for a $500 prize, right? And really making this one of the annual events that folks here in the Quad Cities can look forward to on a year-to-year basis.
Yes, I'm so excited. So what's the history behind stepping in D9 organization?
Well, the history really goes back to the African traditional tribal dance steps. If you move it up into the 1900s, when all of but one of the Divine Nine were within the 1900s, the other one came on within the 60s. Really, that structure was really fighting the racial discriminations that were going across the country. So the Divine Nine came together to unite to fight those injustices. And now as we move to the current world that we live in, we have groups. All our groups are very integrated, that we have a multicultural and we're in multiple countries that we have. So, but our core values are still the same, education and social action. And here in the Quad Cities, we have a very professional group, and the objective that we put together, and we actually, Brother Bass and myself, kind of took this journey on and put these teams together. So we have an actual organized chapter here, first in the entire state of Iowa. We're kind of proud of that.
Congratulations, that's huge, yeah.
Together, and we hope, we kind of know our objectives is to continue to look at the educational things that we can help school systems. And we have a lot of educators within the school that mentors, tutors, using our specialties to help broaden, especially the young men that are now performing, as well as the young ladies. And as we've been going into schools now, we're beginning to get a lot of requests on, we don't see a lot of men involved in the community. So one of the things we've done with our other fraternities and what we hope to do with them is to share the wealth with them and take more positive men that are in professions to do that. And then the other is social action, getting people involved in the voting. So one of our biggest things across most all of our organizations is to be a good citizen. And what does that mean to be a good citizen? That means the right to vote.
Yeah.
And to actually can continue to promote that, but to change that landscape, then we need to be involved in the voting process. It doesn't matter what party, but one of our initiatives that we want people to be registered to vote. So that's really kind of our two initiatives. And the other part is the show, what we plan on doing in the show, is to show the traditions on how the steps were. So the steps that we normally do, what we do, it's all represents your organization. So the traditional steps that we will show for each organization will be representing what their organization, when you see them anywhere, you know who that organization
Yeah.
stands for.
Yeah. So, since you're speaking of like tradition, so I know later in the show, you guys are going to show us a little bit of what Phi Beta Sigma is all about. So super excited about that. But how do you guys balance tradition and innovation in your steps?
So, it's a very delicate balance, because as Brother Dawson said, we really try to make sure in our step routines that we also pay homage to, our ancestors, and stepping has such a rich history, and we try to make sure that is also on full display while incorporating things that's happening now,
Yeah.
right? And so, Brother Dawson talked about the African ancestry. So when you're watching a step show, a lot of people may not really understand like some of the call and response things that we do, in the step is a direct, a credit to our ancestors, right? Which also has, some ties back to the African American church, right? As well. And then, you think about the Black Greek letter organizations, they did not always step when they were created, but when they did start stepping, that was one of the things that they decided that they wanted to pay homage to our ancestors. Even one of our fraternity brothers, Nakuri Nkrumah, who was the president of Ghana, he actually got a lot of credit for bringing West African culture to the United States, and bringing and exposing us to those traditional dances where you would have those tribal dances where you would have people in a circle and maybe you had one person perform it, and then they were singing and dancing all at the same time. So it really just stepping within itself, it took a lot of different terms. It started off where it was just, you started off with the call and response, and then it went to, where the fraternities, the guys were singing to the women with, hymnals and things like that. And so, and then, after World War II, you had where, you had a lot of brothers who had been drafted into the war that came back from military service. And so now you start to see a lot of the formations and the precision and things like that in the step. And so, we've taken a lot of that, and now it's morphed into, what people really see from, stepping today. Is, of course, now it's a huge, it comes out to be like a huge production. The teams are, they're spending hours and hours, practicing, trying to make sure that every move is right and correct and precise. But it's really kind of a, culmination of all those steps, along the way.
So, okay, I got a question out of that. So, how does your chapter come up with new steps and routines? So, I know that you guys are y'all getting stuff together for this big event. So, how many times do you guys practice a lot during the week, or what do you guys do?
Well, I say our younger group, they will come in with more of your modern dance. Right, so they already have that modern dance. I think Brother Best, but we are just trying to catch up with some of these modern dances.
We're old.
We're old. We only got them about a couple of
Seasons.
So what we bring to the team is they catch on to those new steps. And we integrate those new steps, and you'll see the new steps as we begin to do our intro and our transitions. We teach them the old steps that we do. That takes a lot of time and precision, and those takes a lot of practice. We're just beginning to start the practice because we look at the numbers, so we're doing something probably unique that with our sister organization, we try to do a combined routine, at least one routine with them, which will probably people don't really see that, but that takes a lot of time and the right practice locations in order to get our timing down right, and it takes a lot of you have to be in some kind of physical condition
Right.
to do this. I need a little bit more time in between.
Okay. So I'm hearing a lot of muscle relaxers,
A lot of ice.
a lot of
Not
ice,
yes.
soaking. I can't wait. I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful combination of kind of old school, new school, so different regions as well, since both of you guys received your undergrad in Virginia.
Right.
So a lot of different combinations. So I think it's going to be great. So what's the role of music in stepping, and how do you choose the right tracks?
So I think that most of the tracks that are chosen are based on, the theme of the show, right? And so you wanted to kind of to mirror it, right? So back in the day, we used to do an Africa themed show, right? And so we would make sure that particular show had, it was heavy on percussion, right? We would actually we would take snippets of different sound bites from like the movie Coming to America,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and we would perform behind some of those same songs. So it just depends on the theme of the show, and then sometimes the younger kids, they want to put music that's relevant and and doing well right now and into the show, and so it kind of depends on the theme.
Gonna be super excited. Do you want to give a little taste of what type of show you guys are putting on, or we gonna save it?
I was gonna say,
We'll save it. We'll save it.
and the reason I think we both shared is he was talking about the music and having the music that we step to. So especially for our fraternity, what we want people to hear is the rhythm. The rhythm, we're in beat with the song. So the song selection has a lot to do with the way our feet hit and our hands hit. Because our particular steps, we use a lot of hand movement and a lot of, actually kind of a little bit jumping around too. We don't know how far we can, that's why we got to curtail how much jumping we can do now.
Right.
But it's a lot of different movement with our hands and our feet
Yeah.
that makes that sound. You should be able to hear a song almost out of our rhythm.
I'm so excited. Okay, so how does this event build community and brotherhood with Phi Beta Sigma?
Well, it's first, so with being in the community, we believe that, connecting with the children, connecting with their parents, and making sure that, we are vested into bringing folks together, right? That's the first thing. And then it gives us an opportunity to show our commitment, especially to the parents who want their children to see professional men, doing things in the community and giving back, right? So for us, that's we feel that we have a direct responsibility to be able to do that no matter what community we're in. And I mean, both of us can kind of attest to that, just being in the military and recently retired, is that no matter where we go, we take our core values: brotherhood, scholarship, service, culture for service, and service for humanity, to every community that we go to, and the Quad Cities is no different. So we just want to show that our commitment to the people that's here, and we just want to really, again, thank the Lincoln Center for allowing us to participate in this particular venue. and use their platform to express our gratitude and appreciation to them, but also allow us to get in the community and get our feet wet and to be able to do this event.
Yes, I love it. So again, that like our viewers can get information about the Stump Show and dance competition on Facebook. Do you guys want to share that information?
Absolutely, absolutely. They can go to Quad City Sigmas on Facebook, and they can see all the events that we're having, specifically this one. We are selling tickets on Eventbrite, so they can go to Eventbrite and they can purchase their tickets for the event. Our email address is 5 Beta Sigma zzs@gmail.com, so they can send us emails and they can get information about the show that way as well. If they just want to show up on the day and purchase a ticket and come on into the auditorium and see all the talent that's going to be here from the Quad Cities, they can do that as well. So,
And how many dance groups do you guys have signed up already?
so we have about 4 right now, but that list is growing because we have teams here in the Quad Cities and that's in Waterloo that want to come down and perform as well. So,
Yeah,
yes.
super exciting.
Yes.
So can't wait. You guys going to show us a little bit of what we're going to see on June 21st. So
She really wants you to do one. I'm gonna let you do one.
Okay. All right.
We are down with 5. Whoa, whoa. We are down with Victor. Whoa. Whoa, whoa. We are down with Sigma. Whoa. Whoa, whoa.
Ed and William, thank you so much for your time and letting us know about this exciting event. I cannot wait for it. I look forward to seeing everything that you guys do for the community moving forward. It's going to be great.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Joshua Blount spoke with Joshua Johnson, co-senior curator for the Figge Art Museum, about an exhibit that combines art and sneakers.
Thank you, Joshua, for joining us today. So let's get right into it. Future Now virtual sneakers to cutting edge kicks will be open on May 24th at the Figge. What can visitors expect when they step into the gallery?
So when they come to the exhibition, what they're going to see is kind of a complete history of kind of the innovation of shoe design, really stemming from the end of the 19th century up until shoes that were just produced, yesterday, things that are still in the process of being redesigned and are just kind of concept models, and really focusing on different ways of making new materials, making shoes for different purposes, things for virtual reality, things that will make you walk faster, all sorts of different innovations, also focusing on the environment and different materials that we can use to make things more sustainable. So it's really going to be a complete kind of overhaul or overlay or overview, to pick one other over word, of what the shoe design has gone through in these last, 100 years. And so it's going to be a really fantastic exhibition and something kind of new for the Figge.
And this exhibition comes to the Figge from the Bata Shoe Museum in Toronto. How did the Figge become a destination, for, an exciting show like this one?
Yeah, so at the Figge, we're constantly on the lookout for exhibitions that are really going to connect to our community. And so one of the things we've been focusing on more and more is exhibitions that focus on things that are already part of everyone's kind of daily life, right? Everyone has shoes in their closets. Everyone wears shoes daily. So we wanted to focus on an exhibition that is going to really, drill down on the design innovation that goes into these things we see as kind of commonplace, so that we don't always necessarily think about. But design is kind of everywhere, right? And so this is the kind of the art of everyday life. And by being able to focus on this way, we hope that we're able to connect to the community. And so as you point out, it was initially organized by the Bata Shoe Museum in Toronto, Canada. And so Elizabeth, the curator there, has compiled this collection of over 13,000 pairs of shoes. And so from that, they were able to choose, a little over 60 pairs for the exhibition. And then the American Federation of the Arts was able to travel it around the country, as they do with so many exhibitions. And that's what brought it to our attention.
You know, as you mentioned, they are usually everyday type of items, but how does Future Now challenge the way we think about fashion and design, as presenting these sneakers as works of art?
So it really challenges like our concept of what a shoe can be, right? So some of the designs in the exhibition don't even exist in physical space. Some of these shoes are completely virtual. Others are designed to allow you to inhabit a virtual space. There's also other shoes that are involving completely new materials. One of the concepts is called one cell, where you would actually have kind of models of your foot. You would take this kind of bit of plant goo, to use a word to not make it too scientific, and you would actually grow your own mushroom leather shoes at home based around the shape of your own foot. Now, it's still in concept, but that just shows the limits of what this kind of innovations can go to, and also kind of more approachable things like the innovation of 3D printing and how that's affected the shoe industry. So there's really kind of a great variety in this exhibition.
Now, with that said, what are some of the most standout or talked about pieces in the show that people must stop by to see?
Yeah, so probably the most famous pair of shoes in the exhibition will be the Nike Air Mags. So those, of course, were made famous first in the movie Back to the Future, where Marty
classic.
Yes, yeah.
Marty McFly.
Yeah, Marty McFly wears them, and they're these auto-lacing shoes. And, when they were made for that movie initially, they, of course, were just, concept. They didn't actually work. They were a bit of movie magic. However, in 2015, Nike actually released the shoe as a kind of limited run that did have some kind of functional components of that auto-lacing feature, and they've done subsequent designs of that as well, both of which are in the exhibition. So that's very exciting to be able to showcase.
Now, just like how you mentioned, the Nike Air Mag, materials in these particular sneakers are unique. Can you talk about some of the most surprising and innovative ones featured in this exhibit?
Yeah, I mean, the mushroom leather ones that I mentioned earlier would probably be amongst the most innovative. There's also some that are being constructed from recycled ocean plastics, so things that they're actually grabbing off of the top of the ocean and actually being able to reconstitute into a pair of shoes. There's also others that are stitched together or cobbled together from the offcuts from other manufacturing processes. So in the process of cutting leather or plastic or whatever for different shoes, they've brought all these components together and made kind of a patchwork quilt that then is able to make a new production shoe. And of course, the 3D printed shoes are very exciting because that technology is still kind of new for all of us. So to be able to see these shoes made in a completely different way, and there are videos in the exhibition that'll kind of show that process and also show the process of how these artisans and designers are able to design these things with these new technologies.
Okay. Now, along with bringing this amazing exhibition to the Quad Cities community, you all are also stepping up in the community, partnering with Kicks for Kids. Can you tell me about that initiative and why it's important?
Yeah, so we wanted, when we were doing this exhibition, we thought it was a great opportunity to kind of help out this Kicks for Kids organization, which is a relatively new organization in the community founded by Brent Hammerlink that is collecting shoes to redistribute to local school-age children. The idea is that the Figgy will use our kind of mouthpiece here on forums such as yours to kind of talk about this initiative, talk about the exhibition, and also encourage people to bring unused or new child-sized shoes to the museum that can be deposited there and then redistributed by Kicks for Kids. So it's a great opportunity to kind of give back to the community.
Now, how can the community take part in this initiative and help out? What can they do?
So they can bring in unused shoes from basically any size that I think up to an adult 12 is what they recommend. More information on all of that can be found on our website as well that specifies what exactly can and cannot be brought in. But it's a really great opportunity for people to kind of participate in this local organization.
Okay. Now, what is it that you all want or hope the visitors take away from this exhibition?
So what I kind of hope is that they enter the exhibition and are kind of struck with a sense of wonder at just how much innovation and thought and science and design and artistry really goes into the production of something as, quote unquote commonplace as shoes. And I hope that they begin to kind of look around at the objects in their daily life with a different perspective, looking at just how much thought has gone into the design of basically everything around us.
Okay. Now, how long will Future Now be on display at the Figgy, and where can people go to plan their visit or learn more information about it?
Of course. So the exhibition will be on the view through August 31st, so people have all summer to come and see it. If people would like to learn more information, you can go to the figgyartmuseum.org, where you will also learn about all the exciting programming associated with the exhibition. There's all sorts of kind of sneaker themed programs that are coming down the rails here. And then there's also information about the Kicks for Kids program and the exhibition itself. So visit the website and there's all the information you need.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, my last question is, what's your favorite sneaker and why?
So I'm going to take a kind of unconventional answer here. I'm going to reference one of the pairs of shoes in the exhibition itself. It's actually a pair of heels in the exhibition by Zaha Hadid, who was a fantastic architect who just recently passed. But she's designed these beautiful biomorphic buildings around the world and furniture, and these shoes are really a beautiful encapsulation of what she does in her architecture practice. And it's like wearing one of her buildings on your feet, or you can imagine wearing them. And they're these chromed, slick designs that were actually made out of vacuum-packed fiberglass and then vinyl that has been put through a chrome machine. So they're shining and they're wonderful, and they're actually the first shoes you'll see as you walk into the exhibition.
Hearing you talk about this more and more just makes me more excited to see the exhibition. So thank you for joining us today and telling us about it, Joshua.
Thank you so much for having us.
As for me, I sat down with Tracy Singleton and Heather Aronson about their partnership on an event for Juneteenth that showcases the concepts of religion, faith, and finding oneself. Welcome, Tracy Singleton, Executive Director of TNBC at the Lincoln Center, and Heather Aronson Martin, Director of Education at the Figgy. Thank you all for joining me today. We're discussing regarding the upcoming Juneteenth celebration in partnership with the Lincoln Center. Let's just start off with, first off, tell me, why is it important for you all to collaborate on an event like this?
For me, it's important to be able to let the community know what's available in their own community. Sometimes we're not aware, or we don't think that that's a space for us, or they don't have anything that I would enjoy. So this is not our first. This is like, we do many collaborations with them, and every time we do get a different group of people down here. So for me, it was important not only to be able to celebrate the Juneteenth holiday, but to get people into a space that they might not normally go to.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. For the Figgy and for both of our organizations really center around community. I mean, that's who we're serving. We're serving our area, our community, and we both serve arts and culture and bring them to the community. And living in education here at the Figgy, obviously we love to educate people and we love to reach broader audiences. And when we partner with community organizations like the Lincoln Center, that helps to serve not only both organizations, but our broader community. So it works out really well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, so the documentary Faith and Freedom uncovers the deep spiritual significance of the holiday. Why was this particular film chosen?
For me, I chose this film. It's a PBS documentary, and PBS obviously puts out such high quality, wonderful documentaries that are also succinct and emotional and beautifully done. This documentary has won awards throughout the country and Canada and all over the world. So that obviously, rose to the top. And it's a beautiful story. Like, it's a very well said story. It tells the history of Juneteenth, but it makes it very personal through the eyes of one man.
How would you say this documentary uncovers, or how would you say it contributes, rather, to the broader conversation about race and history in America and just understanding the overall meaning and significance of Juneteenth?
Well, I think once you see the documentary, it's one man's journey and his struggle to deal with the legacy of slavery and enslaved peoples in America and his own family history. And also it brings in an aspect of Christianity, because he's seen Christianity kind of abused in his eyes, and was feeling very conflicted. So he travels to Texas, kind of the birthplace of the holiday, and on this kind of personal mission to explore the holiday. So it gives a really good understanding of the holiday and why it's important. And, born out of Texas at the end of the Civil War. And it just it takes you on that journey through it. And it ends with such a beautiful, hopeful message. Like, he finds hope, he finds peace and understanding and hope for the future. So it's a lovely message, I think.
Absolutely.
Very universal.
Yep, for
Yeah.
sure. Now, in what ways does the documentary explore the ongoing relevance of Juneteenth today? You mentioned kind of that faith aspect. How would you say that ties in as well with kind of what you see in our culture today?
Well, I think faith is such a personal thing, and personal for many not only individuals but in many communities. So I think it's hard to talk about Juneteenth without that aspect. Would you agree?
I agree. I mean, if you think back to what got people through slavery, it was faith. You know, I hear quite often that you have to see yourself on the other side of a very challenging or bad situation, and that's faith. A lot of times you will be conflicted or felt like you have to do things that you're not understanding why you're supposed to do it, but obedience comes before understanding a lot of times. That's faith. And that is exactly what that journey had to have been for those, especially those in Texas, because if you go back to the history of Juneteenth, it was a few years, almost 2 years later.
900 days.
Yeah, before
900 days after the Emancipation Proclamation.
So
was
for
Juneteenth.
them,
Right.
you know, they're still just working and working and working, and then to just find out, wait, I don't have to do this anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
To have it enforced and supported.
Yep.
That's
So,
wild.
Now, what do you hope viewers take away from the documentary? One of the things I noticed as I was seeing the different clips was, you know, all ages can definitely take something from it. Like, there's nothing like a good call to action. What would you hope the call to action is from people, not even just necessarily watching the documentary, but just taking part in the event itself that day in general?
Call to action. Well, I love what you just said about education. So obviously I live in education here, and I love introducing things to people who maybe not be aware, or those who are aware, engaging that celebration and support. So it really brings up a lot of like the documentary brings up a lot of topics for people to think about and to dive into and explore. But again, it ends on such a hopeful, positive note. So for me, that's the takeaway. I want people to come. I want people to come open-minded. I want people to explore, to engage, to dive in, and leave with a positive experience.
Open-minded.
Yeah.
I think the overall message of the film was that he was curious. So he took the time to go out and find the answers to what his questions were. I personally did not learn about Juneteenth till I was in my 20s. But once I heard about it and learned about it, I did all I could to find out everything there was to know about Juneteenth. And I learned so much more for my culture and for me as an individual. So I always say, especially at the Lincoln Center, they're like, oh, is this just for Black people? It's not. It's for everybody. But you have to kind of be in an environment to understand why things are the way they are, or why you do things the way you do, or why this program is for this person. So what I'm hoping is the greater community takes the time to say, okay, I'm going to observe the holiday. I'm going to learn from the holiday. And we're not, it's the documentary, and that's the main character of that day. But there'll be a gospel choir, there'll be light bites. Red is huge with Juneteenth. So red foods, red drinks, so on and so forth. And so we are keeping it very, very cultured and very on theme for the holiday. So not only are you going to learn from the documentary, but you're going to learn from just the experience as a whole.
That's something you were just talking about off camera, was just about, you know, being culture for all. Where would you say that curiosity can get somebody, just being curious about the holiday or just Black experience in general? Where can curiosity get you?
Understanding, for one. I really try very hard to stay away from like the Facebook posts when they have posts about Black events or Black History Month, because I see so many comments that actually just make me sad. Not because I'm taking it personal, but because people still just don't get it, you know. And then I seen one the other day that said, it's okay for Black people to tell their stories. We're not dismissing everyone else. We're just sharing our stories. And really, to me, that's what that Juneteenth holiday is about. I don't, yeah.
Yes, telling our story.
It's
We're all
telling our
about that.
story. And it doesn't, and I don't want people to feel like, oh, only Black people can celebrate Juneteenth, because that's not the case either. And I'm sure everyone's not Irish, but people go out and celebrate St. Patrick's Day. I'm sure everyone's not, Hispanic, but they're going out and celebrating Cinco de Mayo, right? So Juneteenth is the same way, just to come out. There's going to be so many activities from the week before up to this week. But if you can't make anything else, I think this is the one where if you don't know too much about it, Black, white, Hispanic, whoever, if you don't know too much about the story of Juneteenth, you're like, why are they celebrating this? This is the one to come to.
Okay, absolutely. Now, while Juneteenth is just one day, in what ways do you hope the event in general will start a greater conversation about truly understanding the Black experience of getting to freedom on a day-to-day basis?
Are we though? No, once again, I think
How's the
just
question right now?
I think it just goes back to that understanding and maybe the one little thing that's said or that you've seen or that you've experienced can make you be like, next time you maybe hear a conversation where they're like, why this? You can contribute to that conversation and share your experience. At the end of the day, like she said, everything's very personal, right? So it's not like everybody has to like it or everybody has to understand it. It's what your own personal journey is, and then what you choose to share with people who may not understand as well. But I think events like this, where it's more mainstream, right? The Figgy is one of 6 cultural institutions that we have here in the Quad Cities. So for them to come on board and say, hey, we're going to share in this, we are going to share in getting this story out, it then opens it up for the greater community, not just a specific audience, to come and get a chance to understand.
Absolutely. Anything else to ask there?
I thought that was beautifully said. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I totally agree. That is the point. That is what like our museum is here for. We want to provide that backbone for culture in our community and allow a safe space for people to come and to learn and to experience and to broaden their horizons and to learn about culture. A lot of what we do is supporting culture and learning about history through art, through experience. And shared experience is a very powerful tool, I feel like.
That takes me to my next question, actually, which is, for the Figgy, in what other ways do you all celebrate the Black culture and Black experience throughout the year in general?
Well, we try to do, obviously, we do lots of partner events with the Lincoln Center and Azubikwe. What we do here, obviously, there's Black History Month and there's, the basics out in the world, right? There's like markers, but we really try to empower and work with Black-owned organizations here. We actually, in our collection, we've really been very conscious over the last decade about collecting. So collecting, especially in people of color, women artists, artists who are not previously really supported in the artistic community and in the museum community. And we also do special events, like we work with Love Girls Magazine, and we do Girls on Fire. We've supported Women on Fire, and just try to do, any way we can partner. We love to do that.
Nothing like community partnerships in particular. And then again, kind of going back to the collaboration between you two as well. What do you kind of hope and take for other organizations and groups collaborating on 2 totally different entities? But like, how does that fostering of collaboration impact the greater Quad Cities in general?
Oh my gosh, I think it only can make it better, right? Like to make us. I have a question up in our winter garden, and it faces the river. So it faces the Mississippi River, and you can see Rock Island. And the question is, do you think more divides us or brings us together? And it's like you drop a coin to vote. And it's amazing to me what's going on in the world and like how that vote changes over like 2 years. And so I want to eliminate that divide. I'm like, we are all in this together. We're all people. We all share the human experience. We all have stories to tell. So we really like to engage in creating opportunities for people to tell stories and share in that common human experience. And I think partnership with these wonderful community organizations, we're all trying to do the same thing in different ways. So, I mean, why wouldn't we collaborate and partner and support each other?
Of course. And then you mentioned the gospel choir. There's going to be lots of food and whatnot. Tell me more just about the event itself that day. What can attendees look forward to and expect?
Well, it's free admission. So every
the best
Thursday.
thing.
Yeah.
Free, always in the budget.
No, if it's free, they will come. No, we really we try our hardest to provide free events. So it's Thursday. It's after 5 is free admission. So the whole museum's open till 8 o'clock. We'll have the bar available. We'll have some free bites, some on-theme bites and drinks. And then there's a cash bar if you want to purchase alcoholic drinks. And then so we'll have kind of like snacks downstairs in the lobby. And then we'll have the choir perform, which I'm so excited about.
They sound good in that.
Yeah, it just that space is great. Yeah, it really does. It's a great space for music. And then we'll come upstairs and at 6 o'clock the documentary is screened. So it's like 58 minutes. So it should end by 7. And then we'll have kind of conversation afterwards, and people are welcome to explore the museum. And we close at 8.
Awesome. And then this is the first time you all are doing this event together, the collaboration.
So we've collaborated typically
on other things. Yeah.
We participate in the Juneteenth festival.
Right.
But because we have Thursdays at the Figgy program, that's part of our regular programming. That's the night we're open late and we have free programming. Juneteenth fell on Thursday this year.
Yes.
Like, yes, we can devote our Thursday night to this.
Very cool. Is there a hope to collaborate with the more events with particularly surrounding Juneteenth in the future? What's to come?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Very
exciting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. It's a great conversation as well. Nothing like getting deep into what Juneteenth is and making sure that all celebrate it and all just kind of and learn more about it for sure. So thank you all for joining me today.
Thanks so much.
Tim Stinson spoke to Gay Shannon Burnett, founder and director of the Pulling Focus African American Film Festival, and highlighted short films created by local, regional, national, and international filmmakers representing the Black diaspora.
Gay, it's great to have you back with us again. This is a wonderful experience to be able to sit down with you again and to discuss. This is the 3rd year for the Pulling Focus African American Film Festival. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, it's wonderful to have you back in here. And this year, the festival is going to be taking place June 5th through the 8th, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and starting the 5th, where's the location going to be at starting?
Well, we actually open a matinee block here at the newly renovated TMBC Lincoln Center Auditorium.
Okay.
So we'll have some films here. And the unique thing about this year for the matinee, because we felt it wasn't, attended very well. So we're doing an invitational to youth groups, and Aubrey Barnes is going to be the facilitator of the guided discussion after the films. And we thought that would be a nice touch because these 2 particular films have a strong poetic type of content. And we thought him being a poet and working with younger people, that would really, set that off, and hopefully we get a lot of people, young people, and to have something curated and targeted for young people, I thought would bring them out.
Okay, wonderful.
That's the first thing. And then we have our opening night at the Last Picture House, and we have a lot of films that we're premiering this year. It's still a 2-hour block, but because the films were shorter and we could get a lot more in. And we also have a filmmaker or 2 filmmakers that are from the Quad Cities, Zena Ellis, and she has a wonderful little film. And so it'll be on our opening night. And then Joy Shannon, actually my sister, and she has done a film about the Rock Island prison when the prisoners guarded the Confederate Army.
Very interesting.
So so we have a nice little array of films, and opening night will be very good too as well.
I think that's great. So going into the 3rd year, I mean, we're moving forward, looking forward to next year as well and things. And but I think this year is going to be great. From last year to this year, moving forward here, is there what kind of I guess we can look at standout moments, successes from last year that you're bringing into this year?
Well, basically, I think the the successes were that we got filmmakers to come with their films. So we're trying to bring that in definitely into this year because it energizes the festival in a different way when you have them available to talk to people in the lobbies and, after the films, before the films, during the reception. So that gives us a different energy. It gives us a different profile too. So hopefully we're getting some of that. People are asking, about accommodations, where can they stay? So we do know that some of them are coming, and that's the other thing. When you bring in filmmakers from outside of the area, you're also, helping to stimulate our economy because they buy things, they stay here, and they eat and everything else that they have to do for 4 days.
Right.
It's done right here. So those are the things that we feel that were successful last year that we want to bring
Okay.
this year.
You talk about the filmmakers coming from outside the area. Are we talking regional? Are we talking national? Are we talking worldwide? How far are they coming from?
Right. Well, the first year we had one girl from Colombia, so she was coming in from worldwide.
Okay.
And then mostly it's national. And then regional, we are getting a lot of filmmakers from Chicago, of course, and because the proximity to where we are, we haven't gotten as many from the different cities in Iowa, but we are getting a few from Iowa City. And this year, I don't know if they're coming. They said they're looking into it. We've gotten a lot of films from the South. And we thought that was really interesting. But we have been in a cohort with the Southern, what's it called? It's Southern Film Network or something. Chris is going to get me, or Cliff's going to get me because I'm not remembering the name of it. But I think it's been some cross-promotional, and he's been telling filmmakers there to submit to our festival.
Okay.
And so we've gotten a lot from the southern states. And I don't know, different places, Detroit, just different regional areas, but it's mostly not in the Quad Cities. We have been knocking on doors and saying, do you have films? Do you have films? But films are expensive to make and they take time. So the ones that were actually from the Quad Cities last time are the ones that lived in the Quad Cities. They haven't, gotten the resources to make a new film.
Right.
So, and it's usually like every 2 years because of the fact, one, you have to find the money, two, you have to shoot it, and then you have to edit it. And so it's a process.
Takes resources, takes time.
It takes time. So
takes time.
I'm thinking that some of those filmmakers will submit next year. So we're always looking to be the platform for up-and-coming filmmakers, for student filmmakers, and just different types of independent film.
Okay. What type of films are we talking about? Are they coming in kind of all the same? Are they, a lot of drama, any comedies, any, talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, this is the first year that we were able to add a animation category.
Oh, okay.
So we've gotten maybe about 7 animated films. Not really children's films. One could be for young people, for kids, but everything else, it's animated, but it was still more adult content. And that was still good that we're getting that genre into our festival. And what else we have open, we used to have what was called Out of Competition Showcase. And that was for films that didn't meet our criteria. Not being an African-American story, wasn't shot by African-American filmmakers and things like that. But they were still very good films, and they submitted it to us. So we said, what can we do with these films? We don't want to just throw them away. So now we did take them. From the beginning, we have been taking good films and putting them in a category where we could screen them and share them with our community. But this year, we decided to do what's called open competition. And in the open competition, they can win an award now.
Okay.
So I think that's more, appealing to filmmakers. But we have been getting a lot of really good films, especially films that are coming from the Asian community, like being shot in China and Taiwan and, different places. And so we get a lot, and they're young people and they're student films. And so we're happy that we can be a platform for them as well.
Are there certain filmmakers, or is there a certain filmmaker, not to, single anybody out, but you're really looking forward to that's going to be coming this year?
Yes. We have well, it's not a category. We're going to try to highlight an independent filmmaker that is more, established and that is doing things in the independent film world. So we're bringing in David Fortune.
Okay.
And he went to graduate school with my son. That's how we have the connection. So they were friends. They still are. And he won the AT&T Tribeca film. They had a contest, and they have it every year. And so he was one of the winners, and they gave him $1.4 million, I think, to do his next film.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We
Okay.
we wish we could get that for our budget. That would be money for the film festival for, next 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he made his film, and it's called Color Book.
Color Book.
Color
Okay.
Book. Now, he has to premiere it at Tribeca on that Friday, but they're flying him to us on Saturday morning so he can do a Quad Cities premiere of his film as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's already been the Black Harvest Film Festival in Chicago, so it's had a Chicago release. But we don't usually get those type of releases where, somebody that is at that point in their career would bring their films and be accessible to people, because he said, yeah, whatever you want me to do, I go to schools. I said, the school's out. He said, well, if you have community groups, I can talk to people during the day. And the film centers around a young man who is Down syndrome. So he definitely wants us to connect him to the Down syndrome community. And he has a shorter one that's called Us, that was in our festival last year. And so he'd like to have a free screening and audience talk back with that community. And so we're trying to weave him into the Quad Cities and into our community as much as we can. We'll have a reception for him at the Last Picture House Saturday evening, and then screen his film, and we'll have a Q&A with him afterwards.
So beyond the screen, beyond coming and watching some of these independent films, what else can the public expect by coming to the festival over these periods of days?
Well, right now it's the panel discussion. Even though we're doing the matinee that we're having, that's going to be curated and have a facilitator do a guided discussion. That's still open to the public, but we're really targeting young people. And then we'll have another one on Friday morning in the Rock Islands, on the Rock Island side, at the Steam on Wheels building. And so that will be a curated block of films with the filmmakers there to talk about the films. So we're trying to get more interaction. We have to get to another point to have workshops. It's like
it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
Well, I think the panel discussion sounds interesting to me. I mean, it gives those who are interested, in pursuing possibly becoming an independent filmmaker, or people who are just interested in films themselves. How's it being made?
Well, the panel discussion is really more targeted to the industry.
Okay.
What it's like to work in the industry as an independent, and because most of our filmmakers, not all of them, because if any of our filmmakers come from the other categories from the open competition, they're invited to be on the panel too, because we feel those voices are important as well. So they will talk about what it's like to be an independent. African American ones always have to do it from that lens and say what it's like to be a Black person making films, especially in Hollywood or New York, because we have gotten somebody from New York every year.
Okay.
And so we're thinking, and we always get people from LA too as well that are trying to make films there. So it is from the point of working in the industry. And I think that is more of a realistic, life fact check that young filmmakers have to do. You need to understand what it's going to take to actually work in the industry. And the industry has gotten as far as Chicago for us and St. Louis, and it's not so much here, but I believe it's coming here. And so I think our young people need to understand that too if they want to pursue, being a filmmaker.
Where do you see the film festival in 5 years from now, moving forward?
My goal is to have it to be a market where we can get some distributors to come and, just have a day and have our films that we, premiere films, because we would like to be that catalyst for filmmakers to actually get to the next level. Like get their films picked up for distribution. And that's the hard thing for a lot of these independent filmmakers. They are making films, lots of independent films, and some of them are excellent and would really, I'd go see them, but it's just that breakthrough. So if we can get to a market, I don't think we would be a major market. If that's one goal. The other goal is to be Academy Awards qualifier. So if we can get our festival to that point, and we're doing all our research, and it probably will take a little bit more time, for us to get to that. But it's possible because there's a lot of independent film festivals that started just like we did that are now Academy qualifiers. And once you get to that point, you get a different caliber of films, of course, but you also can help independent filmmakers in a different way. So we're just going to work for those two goals and try to get as many really good films and be a platform. We specifically like student filmmakers, the ones that are in school for making films, because I think they need that platform. And so hopefully we're getting a lot more of student filmmakers, and hopefully we'll get more.
Okay.
Yeah, and we try not to turn them down, but occasionally we can't take everybody.
Can't take everyone. You've opened up a lot of eyes here. You gave us a lot of insight on the film festival coming up and things. There's going to be individuals who want to learn more. I want to know more about this. I want to know who else is coming. What time is this? What time is that? Where can they find more information about the film festival coming up?
Well, we have a website called Pulling Focus. I think it's African American Film Festival of the Quad Cities. It's so
we'll put that down here. Put that on the screen.
Yeah, and so it tells about us. It tells about the judges and everything. But it'll also have hyperlink pages to the blocks. And film festivals screenings are done in blocks.
Okay.
So if you go to block number 1, it'll tell you the time, the location, and what films are being screened.
Oh, wonderful.
And if the film has a trailer, we hyperlink the name of the film to their trailer. I mean, we usually have a poster, but because they're independents and student filmmakers, they don't always have that press material. Sometimes I'm making posters too and asking them if this is okay for me to put this up.
Yeah.
But we try to hyperlink to their trailer, and it gives you all the information. And you can go from block to block, and it tells the different location. Because we're at the TNBC Lincoln Center, we're at the Last Picture House a couple of times on different, but they're different days. I think it's Thursday and Saturday for them. And then we're at the Putnam on Friday, but we're also here and at the, what is it? Oh, no. Steam on the Wheels. And then we're at the Figgy.
Okay.
So we have Saturday morning, we do matinees at the Figgy, and then we're there on Sunday. And this year, I think the award ceremony is going to be at the Figgy.
Okay. So it's good to go online and see what's all there and things like that. So I'm excited for it, excited for you, you know, and this is something that, you know, want to see keep going. So we want the public to know about it, to come out to support. Some people maybe have never been to any type of film festival. This one sounds very, very interesting, and we're looking forward to it. But thank you for your time today.
I have one with you.
Let's finish up. What do you have?
I want people to know that the film is not just for entertainment,
Okay.
although it does that. We have films that are really historically based, that are very good, that talk about social issues and social justice issues and just medical issues that are in the Black community.
Excellent.
So I think it has a wealth of information and different things you can, you know, take home with you as far as knowledge. And yes, there'll be fun films, and yes, there'll be films that are challenging. But I think as a community, we need to see films in more than just being something fun to do. It's informational, it's educational, and it can be inspirational as well. So
Wonderful. I'm glad you put that in there, because that's real good points things. So thank you, Gay.
oh, thank
It's
you.
good talking to you again.
Okay, thank you. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you for watching this episode of Real Conversations, brought to you in partnership with TMBC at the Lincoln Center. Be sure to stop by and see the Real Conversations team at the Friends of MLK Quad City Juneteenth Festival, Saturday, June 14th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at LeClaire Park.
Real Conversations in the QC is sponsored by Accentra Credit Union.